Welcome to the Stack Bites podcast. My guest today grew up on an egg farm in South Dakota, became a Ford model in New York, and arrived in Beverly Hills as a single mother with $40 to her name. Today, Valerie Fitzgerald leads the number one team in the number one Coldwell Banker office in the country. She has closed over $3 billion in luxury real estate, written a book called Heart and Sold, gave a TED Talk on resiliency watched by over 1 million people, and starred in 4 seasons of HGTV's Selling LA. She's represented celebrities, CEOs, and international buyers across Beverly Hills, Bel Air, and the Westside of Los Angeles for over 2 decades. She is now launching QUEENB, her boldest chapter yet, her podcast. The story of how she got here is one of the most remarkable I have ever come across, and I cannot wait for you to hear directly from her. Please welcome Valerie Fitzgerald.
Valerie Fitzgerald. I started and founded the Valerie Fitzgerald Group about 25 years ago. We've grown from big teams to smaller teams and anywhere in between. We're located in Beverly Hills on Cannon Drive. We've done about $3.5 billion in business in that 25 years in real estate, residential sales, and leases and investments and high-rise residential condominium developments, of which I've done 3. So we kind of crisscross the market, about 13 markets I work, from, let's say, the Hollywood Hills all the way out to sort of the Malibu area, and then swing around to Venice and the marina, and then back across town. So it's a lot of driving. And we represent buyers and sellers, and it's an interesting journey.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And I want to take you back to the beginning. So you have a very, very interesting story, and it's honestly, one of the genuinely surprising backstories I've come across. So starting off in South Dakota on an egg farm, then over to New York City modeling, and then a single mom, basically ending up in LA, Beverly Hills, with $40 in your pocket. When you look back at that version of Valerie when you first started, the one that essentially had nothing and was scared, kind of uncertain of what was going to happen in the future, what do you think she would say if she could see you right now?
I think that she would say that's been quite a journey and change. For me, I just keep going. And I think she would say, I'm proud of you. You never gave up.
Mm.
I've reinvented myself so many times that I just think you keep going and you go to the next venture and you develop what it is you're doing, what's in front of you, and you deal with it, or you don't deal with it, and
Mm-hmm.
just keep moving.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest themes in the book, Heart and Soul, is resiliency, right? There are a lot of instances, especially in the beginning, talking about kind of your life story of how you ended up where you were, of just keep on going, right? Resiliency, just don't stop, keep going. And I felt that very compelling. I was like, this is a great kind of theme to base a lot of things off of. And to be completely honest, I do think about the book a lot now when I come into kind of tougher times or when I'm stressed out, and I think of your story. I'm like, you know what, Valerie just kept going. She found times that she was in instances where she was stressed out or pressured or whatever it may have been, and then she found a way out. And I feel like that is an overall wonderful theme to have for the book. And now going into the book, so there's a specific moment that I still can't stop thinking about. You're essentially holding your baby daughter. You look into her eyes and you say out loud, I'm not going to fail you. That moment is the emotional, of what I call the emotional engine of the whole story. So can you take me back to that instance? I believe you just moved to LA at that point with your daughter. And so what was actually going through your head in that moment? And what did it feel like when you realized you were keeping that promise?
Well, when I was living in New York and I first had her, and I got an opportunity to come to California. I hadn't lived in California in many years because I was gone, modeling in New York and living on the East Coast for I don't know, 10 or 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved here actually to work for a cosmetic company. And when we first moved here, a couple of months later, they told me that division was going to close, and there was no severance, but there was no anything. And I literally was left with no money, no career. My apartment in New York, I had rented out, and they allowed me to do it at what they called a hardship case. So I had to present to the condominium board that it was a hardship. I needed to lease my apartment. So I had nothing. I had no furniture. I
Mm-hmm.
had nothing. And here we were. And I'm like, holy smokes, what am I going to do? And then yeah, I remember that moment very clearly when I was holding her and looking at her and the whole, I'd had a big life at other times in my life prior to that. And all I could do was focus on her and think to myself, and I said out loud, I'm not going to fail you.
Hmm.
I'm going to make us a great life. I'm going to make this all happen. And then, it's funny because in my next door neighbor, I heard a baby crying and I kind of stuck my head out the window and I said, hello. And this woman said, hello. And we ended up meeting each other, knowing each other. And then we called what I called trading hours. So
Hmm.
she would take care of my daughter, I would take care of hers in the evening so that she could go out with her husband and she'd take care of my daughter during the day. And we'd shuffle around things like that when I didn't take my baby with me.
Hmm.
Because the time everywhere I went, I had to take her with me. But yeah, there were quite a few moments like that. But I think the joy of having this child overpowered my fear, and I just felt compelled to make it happen. Go to school at night, get my license, find a way, connect. A friend of mine said you should go into real estate, and at first I thought he was crazy. I'm like, I don't know anybody. I don't know anything about business. I don't know anything about real estate. And it just sort of one step in front of the other and just kept going. And, you know, and
Yeah, yeah, and I enjoyed reading the stories about your daughter as well. I feel like she was a very integral part of your kind of growing, and she was literally there with you every step of the way too. So she was with you at some of the showings. I know you mentioned a story in here, your first big showing, you had taken her, and there's a pool incident and everything, but it showed the realistic part of you growing with her, and I think that was amazing. Real quickly too, I want to shout out the book. There's sections in here that I really enjoyed, the little reflection pieces, and I feel like anybody listening to this right now, if you're starting out in real estate or even, have been in real estate for a few years, this is a great blueprint and a lot of great, kind of guidelines on how to operate your business in real estate. And I even find myself using this too. Obviously I'm not in real estate, more on the tech side, but like a lot of these lessons also apply to my business as well. So I feel like for the audience listening, even if you're not in real estate or starting off in real estate, for just a business owner in general, there's a lot of lessons in this book that you can take away. So yeah, like I said before, I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. But is there any type of like autobiography coming out or anything like that, or is that sort of any other books in the work?
we're going to do a new edition on that book.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
I do have a workbook that I wrote that goes with it.
Hmm.
So we're doing a new edition. We're going to take out some things and add in a whole section about social media, AI,
Hmm.
all the stuff that's going on right now. So we have that going on, but I have so many other projects in front of me first that we need to get to, which is the relaunch of our website and all the new things going on there, and also the new Queen Bee podcast that will be coming out in about 60 days.
Okay. Amazing. Can't wait for that. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, you go from being a Ford model and all of that to selling luxury homes in Beverly Hills. So I have to ask, did being a model actually help in real estate? Like, was there a moment where you thought, okay, I know how to walk into a room, I know how to hold an audience, and I can absolutely do this, and sort of confidence I feel like may, kind of play into that as well. So did that help in real estate, kind of getting your career going? Just like I said, confidence, knowing how to kind of hold a room and speaking to people as well.
I think my answer is going to surprise you because the way it helped me was from the point of view of rejection, not walking into a room and not in terms of holding a room or anything like that.
Hmm.
There's so much rejection being a model. There's so much competition. And in real estate, there's so much rejection, especially when you're new and you're just getting started, and there's so much competition.
Hmm.
So I had that backbone, I think, working for me from that my experience of being a model, because I've been told no so many times. And I used to say being told no was really just the beginning of a conversation,
Hmm.
because then I had the opportunity to change their mind. You can't really do that in modeling. You can't really change. You might not be right for the project, but you may have an opportunity to change their mind in real estate.
Yeah, and I was surprised reading in here. You kind of touch on this in your book as well. Your time in New York City and modeling. I didn't realize I mean, there's a lot of hustle involved with it, going to different, people who, I guess auditions, if you call it
Right.
that.
We call them
Um, yeah, I didn't realize there's that much work. I thought you just booked, a job and you go and that was that. But I was actually really surprised on how much work. And to your point, I'm sure there's a lot of rejection, right? You go and, somebody may say, hey, you know what? It's not the right fit or job for you or whatever it may be. And so you have to learn how to kind of just pull yourself back up and keep going, right? So yeah,
in fact,
I enjoyed learning about that part in your book.
a client of mine the other day when I was showing him a house, he said, "You know, Valerie, real estate is like dating a pretty girl. There's always another one."
that's
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
isn't that hilarious? I
Yeah,
burst
yeah.
laughing, of course.
So now I want to touch on some other things you've been involved with as well. So, particularly starring on Selling LA on HGTV for 4 seasons. So I've watched some of the episodes, and you're just completely yourself on camera, no performance, no filter. But I kind of want the behind the scenes version. So, what was something the cameras caught that you thought for sure they weren't going to cut? Was there anything like that? And then also another part to that is, was there ever a moment where you thought, I can't believe that this is my actual life right now, whether you're talking to celebrities or, you're on TV. So kind of walk me through that process and that experience.
Well, the HGTV series of Selling LA was a fantastic, it was really the beginning of all these reality shows.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, that's when Housewives first came on, is when our show was on. And we were kind of competing it's different channels, but in the similar time slots. But because we were not a dramatic show, we didn't compete as well. Obviously the Housewives beat us in the ratings. So, but our show was HGTV. The channel itself is all about truth in their advertising, truth in their marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything had to be truthful. The deals had to be truthful. The conversations had to be real. There was nothing made up. There was nothing scripted. So everything you see on those shows is exactly what happened at the moment. We didn't like rehearse it and say it again and do all of that. That's not what they did. I mean, we only had one camera to work with too. In most shows work with two cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So what you see is real. I mean, there was one big event I did at a real client of mine. She had an airplane rental business, and she had this huge hangar out in the valley. I mean, enormous hangar with jets and helicopters and all of that in it. And she wanted to sell her house, and this was all true. I put her house on the market for $18 million, and we thought, well, let's invite everybody to her hangar and I'll show them the brochures of the house and we'll entertain them in her style in her hangar. It was
Mm-hmm.
all true. Every bit of it's true. So you really couldn't be a different person off camera than what you are on camera. I remember one client and he put me on the spot on the show and she said, I want you to cut your commission. I was shocked, honestly, because we never talked about that before. And all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden she just laid down the thing and said, laid down her line in the conversation, I want you to cut your commission. And I said, well, I've got to think about that. I am so stunned at the time. And now I'd probably handle it differently, but it was all pretty much true. And honestly, I did over 200 commercials before that when I was in New York. So I did a
Mm-hmm.
lot of commercials, a lot of camera time. I was the correspondent for Entertainment Tonight for real estate. I did a lot of shows for them.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so but all those shows it's almost like producing them because I had to find the property, I had to find the client who would sign off. So it was a lot of work to prepare every one of those shows. They don't find the properties, they've got to be your own. So it's a real buyer I'm working with, it's a real seller who's listing their house, not a fake one. So and then you have to arrange the shoot time and arrange all of that stuff. So it was a lot of work on top of doing my work. So
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I thought that they had some type of play in at least maybe the showings or something. So you're essentially creating all the content for them, or at least kind of setting it up for them.
correct.
Wow. And
Yeah.
then, so basically, all your reactions are raw, sort of uncut,
Yeah.
right? Because you're saying there's no script. That previous client had talked to you about cutting commission, and I'm sure that emotion was just like,
Yeah. Right.
you
Yeah.
know, yeah.
And
There's
there's
no
no
retake of that.
retakes.
Yeah,
There's no retakes. I mean,
yeah,
they
yeah.
just shoot it as it is. So yeah.
Yeah, and the show was really cool for me, at least. I mean, it was a great preview into some of the real estate, the listings that are out there. On the West Side and Beverly Hills, Bel Air. There's a really cool property that kind of stood out for me. It was almost kind of designed like the Flatiron building out in New York, where it's kind of on a corner. I don't know if you recall this, but I think it was around like 9 or 10,000 square feet. It had a commercial elevator in it. I think you ended up leasing it to clients or something along those lines, but it was really cool to see. I mean, the architecture at the time as well was really interesting to see as well. So, I mean, it's just a really cool preview for people like myself, like viewers, to kind of see different type of real estate out there on the West Side and Beverly Hills, Bel Air, that sort of area. So, really cool show. It was really cool.
Yeah,
Any? Oh, go
and
ahead.
we were before all these other shows that are scripted uh,
Mm-hmm.
came on. So it was a whole different bag. And so I think people ended up liking the emotional side because we didn't have an emotional component in the show.
Mm-hmm.
So people like the emotional side of it, people fighting and people
Yeah.
arguing and having all that stuff on camera. Oh my God, watching people take each other down. Which was an HGTV's thing, and it's not my thing either. And
Mhm.
all that. So it's kind of evolved and changed, but it was really a blast. We had a good time.
Yeah, that's great. And then so you weren't nervous at all. I mean, the first episode they shot, it
Oh,
sounds like you had experience on camera anyways at that point. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I had.
Did they approach you, or was it something that you kind of went out and looked for, or how did that kind of come about?
They approached me. At
Mm,
the time, I was juggling a lot of real estate because there were high-rise developments going up here locally, what we call in the
okay.
Wilshire Corridor in Century City, and I was involved with those developers in developing. One building had 74 units, another building had 78, and
Hmm.
one in Venice, which had another 78. So it was a lot of that, a lot of activity, a lot of stuff going on. And quite frankly, those clients, because the market but it was coming off a hot market, that they really liked the idea of the exposure. So yeah, they came to me and asked me, and my team at the time was all girls.
Hmm.
So they liked that. The HGTV liked the fact that we were all girls and kind of marketed it that way. And
Hmm.
then now I've got guys. So
So any plans in the future for any other shows or networks or anything in the works right now?
no, because it would depend. I think things are evolving, honestly. I think the Housewives days and the other shows that are on the air, I think they're kind of losing favor with the people that watch them. And I don't know what the next wave will be. I mean,
Hmm.
I've asked to do certain kinds of shows that just didn't align with who I am and my business. But we'll see. I mean, I'm always open. The thing about me is I always say yes and then figure everything out later.
Hmm.
And so I got to be careful saying yes. Like when Simon and Schuster asked me to write my book, they said, "Would you be interested in writing a book?" I said, "Yes." I've never written a book. I had no clue how to write it. It was like, holy moly, now I have to write a book. So, I say yes to a lot to things. I've learned how to temper that a little bit because I can get stretched too far, but yeah, we'll see. You never know. Never know
Yeah.
what the future brings. And right now, I'm just super excited about what we do have going on.
That's amazing. Yeah. I want to get into your TED talk as well. So watch that video too. It's all on resiliency. I urge all the audience listening to this to go watch it. But it's been watched over 1.4 million times. That's a lot. And what strikes me about it is that you are not presenting resiliency as like a gift or a personality trait. You're saying it's more of a skill, something you can actually learn to do. So as someone living in LA right now, navigating life in this city, that framing hit me differently. So what is the single most practical thing people get wrong about how to build resilience when they're in the middle of something hard? Like what's something that they can kind of take away and remember as they're going through that tough time?
First of all, I have an expression that I like to say that a winner is just a loser who tried one more time.
I like
So
that. Yeah.
yeah, and there's something in my book I talk about which I really, really believe in. It's blind faith.
Hmm.
We have so much blind faith every single day of our lives that we don't realize that we have. You're driving in your car, you get up and you have blind faith and just you don't even think about it. Your day goes on, you have blind faith that everything's going to turn out great, you're going to get to where you have to go, you're going to
Hmm.
have a successful day. That's all blind faith. So if you can keep that in mind, and there was a great coach, he's passed away since, and he had what was the name of it? He was in out of Seattle. That was another great story that was I put in my book. Um, but he often talked about blind faith, and I really believe that if you just believe you take one step at a time. When things are the hardest, you just try one more time,
Hmm.
and things do break through. Things do happen. A little positive thing will come up. And I used to call this the thing, when your subconscious mind says, "Oh, come on, you can't do that. That's not really not going to work," or that, yeah. So I used to call it the monkey on my shoulder. And I used to say, okay, that little monkey on my shoulder, I have like a secret little box on my shoulder, in my chest. Okay, it's gonna go in there for now. I can always go back to that conversation, but I
Yeah.
have to go on and figure this out. So little tricks I had to do with myself, because so many things are coming at me. Never raised a baby on my own. How do you make money and commissions in real estate?
Hmm.
How do you meet clients? And I mean, and all the stories that happen in between, during those times. But I think blind faith has a lot to do with it.
Blind faith. Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned the monkey on the shoulder because I wanted to mention that that's one of the highlights of this book. I think is that proverbial monkey kind of telling you otherwise, right? Trying to go against your positive thoughts or your whatever your motivation is. But I think it's important to listen to that, and then realize, oh no, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing, and then turn that into more like positive thoughts, which you also include in your book too, of just trying to turn those negative things into more positive things. But I think, yeah, the monkey on the shoulder concept is something I've been thinking about a lot lately. And it's like, you can totally overcome that, right? It's just kind of words, your own thinking. And it's like, it's not real, right? It's just thoughts of how things could go, but probably won't. And it's kind of empowering to know, oh, I could overcome that monkey on my shoulder and kind of divert this into the way that I want to go, right? And spin it into more of a positive way. No, but I love the TED Talk. That was amazing. I think resiliency is a huge, amazing characteristic to hold. And you showcase that obviously with your story of how you got here. And I think also I want to touch on determination. I know you mentioned in your book as well a little bit for a characteristic to kind of work towards and have. And I think that's a big thing too, to have determination to keep going, to work through all of your problems. And I think that's big as well. So I also want to get through. This is going to be fun. So I want to hear the stories. So I've listened to a few of the podcasts in your past for the real estate real laughs one that you had. You talk
Right.
about a lot of fun stories. So you talked about one client who literally faked her own death to get out of a real estate contract. Someone who had a baby shark tank inside a listing. So I live in LA, and I know that the city is just built differently. There are a lot of different people, places, things to do here. Um, what is the most genuinely unhinged thing that has ever happened to you at a showing or an open house? The story that you kind of tell at dinner parties that makes everyone put down their forks and just kind of gasp and not believe essentially when they hear it.
I have quite a few. But one of them, I mean, there's a lot of sexual stuff you walk in on, you see. I mean, but there was this one time, there was a showing I had, and I had this very conservative lawyer, and he wanted to impress a new girl who was flying in from Seattle and show her some homes.
Mm-hmm.
So and he wanted a view. So we went up in the hills, where we walk into this house. My girlfriend, she goes, my girlfriend who had the listing, a girl I knew had the listing, knocked on the door, knock, knock, knock. Nobody's answering. Hello, hello, I'm here. I'm showing the house. Hello. It was a little dark. She opened up the curtains in the living room and all of that. And we're kind of walking around. We're looking out at the view. The master bedroom happened to be on that floor. So
Mm-hmm.
she went to the door and she knocked on the master bedroom. We were kind of following behind her, opened up the door, and the wife is strung up on a four-poster bed, like
Oh
tied
my gosh.
butt naked, tied up,
Oh my gosh.
and she had a gag in her mouth. And we were like, oh my God, somebody's done something terrible. Oh dear, oh my God. Yeah. So my friend pulls the gag out of her mouth and she goes, get out of here. My husband's coming home soon and he gets his kicks this way. Get out of my house.
Oh, so she went back into her role and just
Yeah.
like get out, leave. Yeah.
Yeah. We
Oh
were
my
like,
God.
we went from shock to, oh my God, something bad happened to
Yeah.
sort of. So that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
I think seeing that, I would have probably had the same reaction. Like something happened. We need to help this lady, right? What the heck just happened? Yeah, I that's just wild. God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I said to
Um,
I said, because I said to my friend at the time, because I was really embarrassed. I'm a very conservative lawyer. I'm showing a house to who wants to impress his fiance.
Right, right.
Right. So it's sort of awkward. And
Yeah, yeah,
what the hell did you do? Didn't you get confirmed before that we were doing a showing?
yeah.
Well, I called and left a message and I emailed them and I didn't hear back. So I thought they were going to be out of town.
Oh my gosh. That's wild. Yeah, that's something I would definitely remember, you know. It's
Yeah.
oh um
We had another one with a guy who a woman she had an Emmy,
mhm,
and so her listing agent was my friend and I was showing the house. So we get to the house and he goes, we have a little issue here. The husband is completely passed out drunk on the sofa and he's naked. And my friend had taken the carpet from under the coffee table and thrown
mhm.
over him. And he's
Act
so
like a blanket, right? You have to cover him a little bit.
covered him up with the rug. And we're like, he goes, just act like it's normal. Because you can't.
Oh my
He goes, but I want you to know.
god.
He goes, and I said, well, what happened? What did his wife say? She said, look, my husband's passed out. He's your problem. And she left.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, so we did the showing and it looked odd. It looked odd. There was this long lump, covered up. You couldn't see him, but like under the carpet on the couch.
Did anybody ask about it or just kind of just walked right by as if nothing was even there? And yeah.
Yeah, it looked weird because it's a sofa, but it had like this thick, kind of long, like I don't know, you wouldn't really know there's a human under there, but,
Yeah.
it has
Yeah,
a
maybe
great,
people just assumed something was under there or part of the couch design or something, you know. And it's like, okay, well,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting, but
And I have a
oh,
great
that's great.
Michael Jackson story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, great Michael Jackson story. So Michael and I were looking at houses and we're driving up in the hills and we at the time we had he would call me. He was in his van. He had this woman who would drive him in a van. You never know
Mhm,
who's in this van. And I was in front of him and he goes, stop, stop. I like that house. And like the one on our left. And I said,
mhm,
oh, I know that house. I know the guy who owns it. It's a, big house. He goes, I like it. So I called my friend and he said, no, Valerie, it's leased to the Saudi Arabian family for the summer. It can't be shown. It had been on the market before that for sale.
mhm.
So I said, Michael, we can't see the house. So we left and a few days later, we go driving back up into the hills and Michael goes, wait, stop. I want to go in that house. I go, Michael, we can't. This family from Saudi Arabia is leasing it.
Mhm.
He goes, wait. He comes out of the van. He's wearing a Saudi Arabian head wrap with the long gown. No, I forget what they're called, down to the ground.
Yeah.
But he looks like he's Saudi Arabian. He's wearing the whole costume and he has a beard. And and he's got this whole thing on. And he pushes the button on the gate. And I'm like, oh my God, come out with guns or something. Oh my God, I'm standing off to the side. They open the gate. The two security guys come out to the motor court. He walks right into the motor court, and I'm standing at the
Oh
gate.
my
I'm like,
God.
oh my God, what's going to happen here? So he walks in and he bends over and he goes, hala, 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 hala. And I'm thinking, what the hell? And I could see him. So I kind of walk into the motor court a little bit, I don't know, 10 or 15 feet from him. And the woman of the house comes out with two kids, and she goes, "What's going on here?" And I said, I'm really sorry." And
Mhm.
because he looks like he's Saudi Arabian, he goes, "Hala, hala, hala." And she looks at me and looks at him, and she comes over, and he takes off his head thing, and they see it's Michael Jackson. And of course, I let him in the house, but but that moment, I mean, he took off the whole head thing, and they could see that it's him. And
Mhm.
they were like, "Oh my God!" The kids were there, and
So what were you feeling at this time? You're just kind of frozen, like what is he doing,
frozen.
kind of thing?
You're watching it like, oh my
Yeah,
God, what's going to happen? Is this going to
yeah.
be terrible? Is it going to be your anxiety thinks it's going to be a bad thing, something
Mhm.
it's not, nothing could come good of this.
Right.
But when he took the head thing off, the headdress off, then they saw who it was, then they were of course thrilled. So
That is amazing. I mean, he had that impact on people, right? He could just walk up to any random house he wanted, seemingly, right? And kind of almost just walk in, you know, and people would welcome him in. Like that's amazing. Oh
he
my
had this
gosh.
costume on, which was really funny.
Yeah, yeah, that is hilarious. my gosh. I kind of want to dive a little bit now into living in Los Angeles and LA in general as a city. So I feel like this city attracts a very particular type of person, um, or a lot of different types of people, right? Wildly ambitious, wildly creative, sometimes wildly delusional as well. But after 20 plus years of working with the full spectrum of LA personalities and some of the most intimate moments of their lives, right? Buying and selling their houses. What have you learned about people that you could only have learned in this city? And what does LA reveal about somebody?
Well, honestly, like we've already discussed a few times, situations,
Mm-hmm.
I think you see that you just don't know what's happening behind closed doors. You don't know the family dynamics. You don't know the couple dynamics. You don't. Some people are living right on the edge financially. You don't know that until you're kind of involved in their life and the urgency of selling,
Mm-hmm.
or someone who wants to buy, because you learn a lot about people. And of course, everything is so discreet and it's so much discretion, and it's so private. I mean, none of my stories have ever, celebrity wise, have ever come out about anything that I've ever done. The story about Michael is a funny one, but um, and we didn't talk about those in Real Estate Real Laughs either. We left a lot of names and addresses out,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of craziness, a lot of crazy stuff happens behind people's homes, and people are living, as I said, on from a moment from either losing their house or can't afford. If they're leasing, you find out that they're two payments behind on their Bentley or something. It's so
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of overreach, a lot of people who want to show it's the in many cases the lifestyle can be about what other people think and how other people judge them and see them. So you see that, but it's their life. It's their life, and I'm just there to facilitate what I can do to help them in whatever way that they want. We had we had we had this one couple, and the wife says, "I want you to come and see my house, and we want to sell the house." Great. Get there to find out that they're getting divorced and they're both going to stay in the house. So the
Oh.
showing it like she's going to live on one side, he's going to live on the other side, but so I had to navigate that. It's always problem solving. It's
Mm-hmm.
listening to something, it's listening patiently and quietly and helping people solve an issue or solve a desire or solve a need. And make, in many cases, also make their dream come true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a point, kind of a pivot point in the book too that you mentioned about kind of learning how communication and how the job is mainly about like helping people, right? And I think that's to your point. I think when you kind of see it in that sense, I mean, I'm sure it's very fulfilling, right? To be able to be there, help people find their dream house or just a house in general. Um, yeah, no, wonderful. I love it. I want to now switch over to Queen Bee, your new podcast. Is this more of a continuation of Real Estate Real Laughs, or is this going to be something completely new? And I want you to talk about what it's about, who it's for, who your audience is going to be. Um, and then I want to know too. So from everything I've read and watched, you've always been sort of the engine behind everything, right? But this feels like the first time you're really kind of centering yourself. So tell me what you want to focus on with Queen Bee, the new podcast.
So Queen Bee, the name's actually going to be Queen Bee Grit, Grace, and Reinvention.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. So it's probably more for women.
Mm,
For women, I want to talk to that woman who's in her kitchen or in her living room or driving in her car who thinks life is falling apart, that they don't have hope. They don't see what how they can reinvent themselves. They don't see the possibility. I've got so many reinvention stories, how I bought my first property and how I've negotiated so many major things. I used to speak, I speak publicly, and women would come up to me afterwards and they go, I can't be like you. I just can't be like you. And I'd say, why? And they go, well, because I take care of my parents, or I got divorced, or I have an abusive husband. I mean, there was a one thing they could say to me that I hadn't already experienced. So a
mm,
lot of this is going to be the conversation about hope and about reinvention, about how you can also my vehicle was real estate, but maybe somebody else's will be another business, that I won't know. But I want to talk about, that all the grace, the grit, and the reinvention is what my life is about. And that's my hope, is to reach women that uh, that aren't feeling so good about things right now.
Yeah, I love that direction that you're taking with the podcast. And so it kind of leads me into my next question. Is there a type of conversation you want to have on that show that you've never really been able to touch on anywhere else? Or, is there a topic, a guest, a moment that you really want to kind of hone in on or focus on with the podcast?
Well, I just hired a guest manager, so in 6 months we'll have some good stuff to talk about.
Sure.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I've got a list of certain people that I really would like to talk to, and people that have done amazing things to reinvent themselves.
Mhm.
We'll see what that takes us, because there's so many women out there that have either lost everything or started with nothing, reinvented themselves to rebuild. So there's so many wonderful stories out there of hope. And I think people along the way, when they think that there's all this pressure on them, that they lose hope. And hope, blind faith and hope are really, really important. And I'm hoping to give that both to my listeners.
Amazing. Yeah. I feel like they're kind of overlooked or just, kind of forgotten about hope. And it's just something that people need to remember. And I think that's going to be amazing when you kind of push that message out to your audience, and have them realize it's something that's ingrained, in everybody, right? It's just something that you gotta think about. So looking back on everything you've accomplished, right? I know you've mentored so many different people. So from real estate agents to women in business, people like myself who have read your book, and just people in general who are at rock bottom. Is there a story someone has told you about how your work changed something for them that you still think about that kind of resonates to this day?
Several people have, because of my book, yeah, and because I've done speaking engagements, have said, how things changed them and gave them hope. It gave
Mm-hmm.
them, um, it helped them. It was inspirational. It helped them get organized. And really, the whole thing is that, I mean, if I can do it, you can do it. It's There's nothing magic, there's nothing secretive about how you can reinvent yourself, how you can be successful, how you can dream, how you can have a dream, how you can pursue things. Um, a lot of times we would, in my business, we would just make things up. Let's just go do that. I never followed well, this is what you do and this is how you do it. I'm not that kind of person at all. I'm the like, well, I'm way out of the box all the time. Well, let's just try that. Let's do this. And if it doesn't work, we'll move on to that. And I love change. I love new ideas. I love the energy of of new things. And it just constantly feeds me and helps me grow. And I really want people to know that there's so many options out there. There's so many ideas and so many interesting people and things that you can't, if I can do it, you can do it. So I'm hoping it works like that.
Love it. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. And I want to get towards kind of lessons learned as grew your business, scaled it as well. What are some for the audience out there? If there's an owner of a small real estate company or just in general a small business owner right now trying to scale, what are some pain points or challenges that you experience that you're able to overcome? And do you have any overall advice to these people?
Well, what I've learned when I first started out there, because it can be overwhelming when you're building a business. I mean, you're one person and there's only so many hours in a day. So I didn't know how to make a job description, so I made a list of all the things I didn't want to do, and that
Mhm.
was the job description for my assistant. My first assistant I hired. I go, here's your job description. So, I mean, you don't have to know the formal way of doing things. AI now can do things for you and write things for you, but we didn't have that certainly 25 years ago when I started. Um, and I think that I think now that there's so many changes and things are happening very, very quickly,
Mhm.
that you don't start to really follow, especially the AI. Well, you're in AI. If we don't start to use it and follow it and find a way how it helps us leverage our time, because in real estate, to do more, you have to leverage your time. You have to either have people or you have to have tools. You have to have constant motion. It's a constant motion. You have to constantly looking for new clients. You have to constantly contact your old clients. Our database has 52,000 people in it.
Mhm.
So it's a constant thing of touching base and again solving problems and prioritizing, because otherwise you can go crazy with so many things to do in a single day. But
Right.
yeah, it's I don't know. I still love it. Still do it every day. I still drive 3 hours a day. uh,
um, yeah, no, thank you for that. And I also want to shout out once again the book Heart and Soul, because I feel like there's also a lot of great advice. And I mentioned before, not just for real estate owners, but also for or real estate company owners, but also for just small business owners as well. A lot of great lessons from that. And then now I want to open the floor to you. Is there anything, any projects or anything you'd like to highlight with your company that you're currently working on?
well, it's so funny because we take on, again, that's me, we take on a lot of things and then we find out what doesn't work and then we stop. So we're in the process of doing a lot of new things with bots and AI stuff and the search how SEO has changed and
Mhm.
and people aren't using Google so much anymore and it's a learning thing. I'm learning as fast as I can, taking as much as I can because I want to be in a different place in 5 years. I mean, with all of the business and all of that. So we're preparing now. Um, and everything I do, I want really important to me is the word relevant. Every article I write, everything that we're posting, everything we're doing on Queen Bee or my book, I wanted to be relevant to people, not just talking at them. So yeah, we have lots of new projects coming up. My website's going to be super cool. We finally finished that in a few weeks, and then we have Queen Bee, and I'm doing a new thing, a new documentary on a TV show called Inside Success in August that goes on Netflix and streaming shows. So yeah, there's always stuff ahead in the next month, the next few weeks to keep going.
Oh, very exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to see all of that. And then where can people find you? Website as well as social media. Um,
It's my
where are you? Yeah.
My name, ValerieFitzgerald.com. And same thing with social media. It's my name, Valerie Fitzgerald. So you'll find me. We're posting lots of good content for buyers, sellers, and for people about inherited properties and again, relevant. I mean, issues that people have that nobody talks about really. I've
Mhm.
gotten away from just beauty shots all the time with of properties. So I don't know. It's kind of fun to keep reinventing.
Right. Right. Love it. Well, Valerie, thank you so much for your time today. I love the conversation we had and look forward to speaking to you, having you back on this podcast as well in the future.
Yeah, love it. All right, we should
Yeah.
already have our launch by then. We'll have some more interesting things to talk about.
Can't
Thank
wait to hear it. Thank you so much.
you.